Will WhatsApp, Instagram, or even Facebook get banned in India? What are some of the parts of the new IT rule that has led WhatsApp to take the Indian government to court? I'm sure you're seeking answers to some of these key questions, which is exactly why we caught up with digital rights expert Nikhil Pawar to understand these new IT rules, how they impact you as users, and what is the controversy all about. Let's get started. WhatsApp is challenging the IT rules of the government, which would force it to change the architecture of its platform, which would compromise the privacy of its users across the world as well.
The Indian government has the right to ask for being able to trace one particular user, that they might have a court order, someone who might have indulged in child pornography, might be a criminal. So they have the right to ask for that. But in order to be able to trace the originator of that message, WhatsApp would potentially have to re-architect its platform globally, which means that they might end up compromising the privacy of all of their users.
Experts told us that this is like essentially saying to catch that one bad guy, you'll have to spy upon the entire town. And it's just not this aspect, but there are other clauses in the IT regulations that has not only upset WhatsApp, but also OTT platforms and also digital media services.
So the Information Technology Act currently does not provide any grounds for tracing a user. These rules have to be based on the Act because they are subordinate legislation based on the Act itself. So the rules cannot do what the Act doesn't allow. However, as we've seen both in case of WhatsApp, but also in case of regulation of streaming services and news media, they have gone beyond the boundaries of what the IT Act actually allows. So the legality of these rules is also in question. The global ramifications of this move need to be looked at also, because no country wants end-to-end encryption because they want to be able to surveil users. They want to be able to access data of users. And it's an important part of intelligence gathering for them. However, this compromises user privacy. So what happens in India, what a court in India decides, will have ramifications for all of end-to-end encryption across the globe. And many technologists and governments are watching this case very closely.
Experts say there has to be another way to ensure national security rather than compromise the privacy of all users.
I mean, there are other means for governments and for police to investigate, which is that they can go from hop to hop. If they can capture devices and they can force people to decrypt devices so they can access messages, find who has sent the message to them, and then find who has sent that message to that person. So it's a chain that they need to go through. What they're trying to do here is find an easy way out, find the originator of the message. And let's face it, governments do need this information for evidence in courts. So it's a legitimate need. But again, like I said, the issue is this proportionate or not? And in my opinion, it is not proportionate.
The IT regulations also encompass other companies like Twitter and Facebook. Would we see these companies take a leaf out of WhatsApp's book and take the government to court if need be?
Many platforms are not compliant with the IT rules. According to the rules, if they're non-compliant, then they're no longer intermediaries, which means they become publishers. So they are potentially liable at this point in time for the content that is being published by their users. And no platform, I mean, you have billions of hours of video on YouTube, you have billions of messages on Facebook and WhatsApp. No platform can survive this liability. And so I expect that you will see more platforms go to court to prevent these IT rules from being enacted in the next few days. I mean, I think they will, but I don't know if they will.
Facebook has said in a statement that it wished to comply with the provisions of the IT rules, but needs to discuss a few of the issues. Twitter stated that it plans to advocate for changes to elements of regulations that inhibit free public conversation. Google is yet to comment on this at the time of shooting this video. As per the latest update, the Broadcasting Ministry has given 15 days time to OTT and digital media platforms to present details of their compliance with the new guidelines. So is there a way that both these parties can come to a common solution? Nikhil thinks it's unlikely because a common ground would mean a move away from end-to-end encryption, and that compromises the privacy of the users. And not only that, but the impact of these rules and regulation might go beyond WhatsApp, maybe even Signal. But the biggest question that I'm sure has been haunting many users since this fiasco started: will WhatsApp or Instagram get banned in India?
I don't think there is going to be any ban coming up, frankly. I don't think the Indian government will make that mistake, especially at a time when our external affairs minister Jaishankar is in the US and is negotiating with the US for and trying to get vaccines for India. At that point in time, to go after US platforms in this manner is not going to be taken in a positive light by the US. But apart from that, I think if there is a ban, I don't think users will support this ban. And I think this is going to look very poor for India, because these platforms are not Chinese apps. So I don't think, I doubt that the Indian government will ban these apps.
So there you have it, some of the key questions answered by the expert. But if you want to understand more about the new IT regulations and how they impact us as users, please head to gadgets360.com. And as always, please stay safe and take care.